Although early variants of the game appeared in French newspapers in the late 1800s and could be seen as connected with land squares and magic squares, Sudoku first appeared in its current form in Indiana, United States in 1979, where it eventually spread to Japan in 1984, where it got its name. It is a game where literacy in a given language isn't needed and a basic understanding of math isn't required. This allows it to cross a number of social-cultural borders and to become popular with a wide variety of peoples. Greetings and welcome to Checkpoint Gaming. With this episode, we'll be going over how to play the game Sudoku. With Sudoku, it is a puzzle-solving game that consists of a grid that possesses a series of squares divided into a 9x9 pattern. From there, this grid is divided into a series of boxes that are divided into a 3x3 pattern. This will create a grid that possesses 81 total squares that is divided into 9 boxes, with each box possessing 9 total squares. With each square of the grid, it can only possess one number that can range from 1 through 9. What this means is that each 3x3 box, grid column, and grid row can only possess a number ranging from 1 through 9 once. So in order for the puzzle to be solved, each square will need to possess one of the aforementioned numbers with no repeating numbers found within any of these categories. When starting a new puzzle, some squares will already have numbers found within them. And based upon the difficulty of the puzzle, these numbers will lock in specific numbers in specific squares. And the harder the puzzle is, the more numbers that the player will have to add in order to solve the puzzle. As the player starts filling in the squares, they'll have to abide by the one number per square rule. By adding more numbers into the grid itself, they'll start to help lock in additional numbers to the given squares. When the player runs out of possible numbers that can be locked in for certain, they can pencil in possible candidates for various squares. This is done by using small pencil marks to list all the possible numbers that a square can contain based upon certain information they already have. Now you have the basic process of how to go about solving the basics of a Sudoku puzzle. Just go ahead, repeat the steps listed earlier until you have filled in all of the cells found within the grid. With the basics now taken care of, we can touch upon some variants that can be found for the game. The variants we'll be looking at consist of varying size of the grid as well as Kenken. First, we'll be looking at the mini puzzle where the grid is less than that of a 9x9 pattern. The first of these is Sudoku, where the grid is 4x4 and 8 boxes that are divided into a 2x2 pattern. Second, you have Godoku, where the grid is 5x5 and divided into a series of Potenimo patterns. Third, we have Rokudoku, where the grid is 6x6 and 6 boxes that are divided into a 2x6 rectangular pattern. The fourth variant is Untitled, and it consists of a grid that is 7x7 and 6 Heftomino boxes that are presented with a disjointed pattern. And with fifth variant, which is also Untitled, is where the grid is 8x8 with 8 boxes that are divided into a 4x2 pattern. Second, we'll be looking at the larger puzzles where the grid is more than that of the 9x9 pattern. The first of these is Maxi Sudoku, where the grid is 12x12 and 12 boxes are divided into a 4x3 pattern. Second, we have the Number Place Challenger, where the grid is 16x16 and 16 boxes are divided into a 4x4 pattern. Third, we have Sudoku the Giant, where the grid is 25x25 and 25 boxes that are divided into a 5x5 pattern. Third, we'll be looking at Kenken, where Ken in Japanese means cleverness. With Kenken, it is based upon the Sudoku grid and ranges in size from 3x3 to 9x9. With the boxes, they're divided into outline groups known as cages, where the numbers that are entered into said cages will have to produce a certain target number where they're combined using the cages-specific mathematical formula. With the digits, they're allowed to repeat within a given cage as long as they do not appear within the same row or column. When it comes to that of a single-celled cage, no relevant mathematical operation is provided, which allows the placing of the target number into the square is the only possibility. With the target number and its corresponding operation, they are found within the upper left-hand corner of the cage. So with that said, that is what you need to know in order to play the game Sudoku. If you like this episode, feel free to give it a like, and if you want to stay up to date on any future episodes we upload, go ahead and subscribe. You can also support us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/checkpointgaming. See you in the next episode, and happy gaming.